Charlie Kirk is talking about sports, but only in the context of vaccine denialism. Novak Djokovic did an interview the other day where he said that he'd give up being the greatest tennis player ever for his righteous cause of not taking the COVID vaccine that's been administered billions of times at this point.
I mean, no offense to tennis, but we'll be okay.
Yeah. Right. And come on, I used to watch a little bit of tennis in my day. He's not greater than Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal.
It's like leaders of ISIS. There'll be a new greatest tennis player.
Right. And perhaps we could also just say Serena Williams. With that said, here he is with his musings on a all-white basketball team. I don't even know how he makes this transition, but here we go.
But in order to push back against a lot of this nonsense, it's going to take courageous truth tellers. And honestly, someone that I have not spent, I don't think, any time on this program talking about, but I have a great deal of respect for the Kyrie Irvings of the world and the Novak Djokovic's of the world.
Djokovic.
Now, I grew up with a lot of Serbs in Chicago. I have a soft spot for Serbs. They're awesome. I know the worst thing you could say in the Serbian language, and I will not say it on air because the FCC would find some way to still find me. I played on a Serbian basketball team, actually. My name was Sheva Krkovic. I kid you not. I have a jersey that says Krkovic. The name of our basketball team was the Illinois White Eagles. Boy, you couldn't call a team that anymore. We were all white. Basketball team. And we meant nothing racial about it. Of course not, because we actually lived in America that was awesome. We used to play all black basketball teams, and we used to get along. I kid you not. We were an all white.
Wow.
Everyone else was Serbian except me, but I kind of looked the part a little bit, kind of look a little bit like I'm from the Balkan Peninsula. I could pull off a Croatian, Bosnian, Albanian, Serbian kind of deal. And we would go to a basketball tournament, AAU, which is really competitive basketball, and like Waukegan or Zion Benton and Elgin. We'd travel all across the country, and we'd play these all-black teams, and no one cared. It was never like this racial thing. No, it's like we all got along, and we all like hung out. It would be like all-white team versus all-black team, and we never thought anything of it. I kid you not. There was never a moment ever, and this is a little bit of a detour, where all of a sudden we were like, yeah, we're the white team. Like, yeah, we just kind of all know each other, and they all know each other from like a Serbian community. It's kind of cool, and it was that.
So you're okay. So basically, his argument is that they were cordial to one another. So I don't know how he got there from saying I admire Novak Djokovic and which he mispronounced, and Kyrie Irving for their vaccine stances, and then he goes on some diatribe where he says, and I quote, "I have a soft spot for Serbs," which is a normal way to view human beings.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, it's also just weird because he's like 28 years old and he speaks like he's a 60-year-old who was like playing basketball at a segregated high school back in like the 50s or whatever. And like it's just like this
Glory Road, and he thinks that that's like his life basically.
he's gonna like recount the plot of the movie Pride with Terrence Howard, where where they don't allow like black people to swim. So but he had an all-white swim team, I imagine. It's just weird that I think this this level of like under 30 or like millennial like right-wing content creators are very weird because all of their stories just sound incredibly fake because they're just like, back in my day, it's like your day. Like, we had an all-white basketball team. That usually only happens in shows like Riverdale.
How are his politics worse than Remember the Titans?
Yeah, it's like, it's the opposite message of Remember the Titans. It's look at how much happier people are when they have an ethnic-based sports team, and they don't even think about it. Like,
and that's like the most like, everybody in that movie everybody in today's America is like, that is so heartwarming, basically, unless you're cynical about it like me. But so his politics are behind that.
Yeah. Also, just the White Eagles, in quotations, paramilitary. This is a Wikipedia entry. The White Eagles, also known as the Avengers, were a Serbian paramilitary group associated with the Serbian National Renewal and the Serbian Radical Party. Just skipping a little bit head down. Testimony at the International War Crimes Tribunal indicates that the White Eagles were responsible for a number of atrocities, including during the Croatian and Bosnian Wars, including the Voćin massacre, Visegrad massacre, crimes in, I don't know how to pronounce all these, but Foča, Gacko, and others. Various members of the White Eagles were indicted by the tribunal. Mitar Vasiljevic received a 15-year sentence. Former head Milan Lukic received a life sentence for his war crimes, which include murdering men, women, and children. Can't name teams like that anymore, though.
Yeah, you can't. Back in my
Can't name
day,
your Serbian Chicago basketball team after a group that's on the other side of the world doing war crimes.
why can't he decide if he's going to be 19 or if he's going to be 86?
It's a weird thing with Kirk because he's like canceled sports before, like the Kaepernick thing. Basically, like he's a guy that doesn't like sports. He's like Steven Crowder, right? But that goes against masculinity, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to not know anything about like what sport Magic Johnson played if you're a man, and that's the problem Kirk has. So I think he's like in a rush to sort of like have sports takes. He was in that supplement commercial throwing a football around.
I do remember that.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he can name like 5 athletes.
I'm
desperately
honestly am
looking for
by that.
photos.
I'm honestly so confused by that clip. I mean, I don't even with the tangents he went on. I still don't understand what his point was, because it weaved in 3 different like half of points. I just
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
Your own
I
time.
can't
it's like a Rorschach
just
test.
bizarre. Just bizarre.
I love a good tangent, but I was going to say I'm desperately searching for a photo of this basketball team. I have got to find this.